Hey, this is Sam Black with a Kaladesh draft. I've opened Pia Nalar, which is a pretty good rare. I like that it's one color, and both of its abilities, all of its abilities are very relevant in this format. There are a lot of other artifact creatures that you can pump. Sacrificing an artifact to make something unblockable is good because you have a lot of options as far as artifacts to sacrifice, and it's just a great rate, and the Thopter is very good. It's a pretty powerful pack. Restoration Gearsmith and Skylar's Shot are both great. There's also Revoke Privileges and Tezzert's Ambition. As far as the white removal spells go, I prefer Skywhaler's Shot. It's worth noting that all three uncommons, as well as the best common in this pack, are all white. So while I like white-red as an archetype, and I like Pia in white-red, that's going to motivate me slightly to potentially try to avoid white. I'm going to click on this Unlicensed Disintegration while going over the cards in this pack. Pia is great in red-black. It's a good aggressive archetype that can take a lot of advantage of Pia's abilities, and black creatures like Dund Operative really like having essentially a 3-mana artifact in Pia Nalar. There are a few creatures, black creatures, with a controlling one artifact matters theme that Pia plays super well with. Unlicensed Disintegration is another card in that theme, incidentally. You get the 3 damage if you control an artifact creature, which Pia will give me. So the combination of starting with Pia and wanting to avoid white makes moving into red-black a really good place to be, and Unlicensed Disintegration is a fantastic card. I value removal spells really highly in this format, and it's obviously among the best of them, if not the actual best one. So I think it's better than taking the Doorbreaker to stay on color or something, or whatever that guy's called, the 4/2. Speedway Fanatic is a flashy card. 2/1 haste that can give another thing haste is traditionally pretty good. In this format, 2/1s are pretty bad because of the presence of servos. So I think that guy's actually a lot worse, or I think Speedway Fanatic is a lot worse than it looks. The card that stands out to me here is Inventor's Goggles, and incidentally, Pia Nalar is an Artificer, but the reason is primarily for the black Artifact Matters creatures. It's really nice to have cheap artifacts to enable those, and equipment is also generally better in this format than other formats by a considerable margin, because the range in size in creatures is pretty small. So just something like +1/+2 can really move up a creature's ability to trade with other creatures, and also you get the most of your tokens by turning them into formidable threats by themselves. Here, the cards that stand out to me are Aether Meltdown, Weldfast Monitor, and Self-Assembler. Aether Meltdown is a really good removal spell, and I generally don't mind being multiple colors in this format, but I think that the start that I have is very good for an aggressive red and black plan, and I don't think that plays well with being a third color. So red and black want to really prioritize having artifacts, which makes Weldfast Monitor and Self-Assembler both very good. I don't have a long time to talk through this, so I'm just going to click on the Self-Assembler and then explain. Weldfast Monitor is very good if you're aggressive, and I talked about how I likely want to be an aggressive red-black deck. However, in general, I don't like 3-mana creatures very much in this format, because I think that it's hard to get them through, and they get turned off by other creatures pretty easily. Menace helps avoid that, but I've actually just been really impressed by going bigger and I think Self-Assembler is fantastic in Red-Black specifically, where you can play an attrition game, and if you can get multiple Self-Assemblers, it can really take over the late game. In other color combinations, it can have a problem where your opponent can just play a larger creature and they can't get through, but when you can kill your opponent's larger creatures, the Self-Assemblers become a huge problem for the opponent. So I didn't really get to talk about this pack. Dund Operative is the best card by a lot, except for Glimmer of Genius, and I want to stay 2 colors, and this plays really well with what I'm trying to do, so I'm happy to take the Operative here. So here, in this next pack, I'm looking at Cathartic Reunion, Spireside Infiltrator, Fortuitous Find, and Durka Pithal. And Spireside Infiltrator is one of the top cards that I penalize for being a low impact 3-mana card. It's really hard to get this card to work very hard. It likely just trades for something or gets blanked by a bigger guy. I'm way behind here on talking through stuff. I'm taking the Durka Peephole to try to not lock myself in, and because if I get just a couple of prisms or something, I'd be reasonably happy to just play a 2/4 artifact creature that can sometimes get flying in red-black. And I think the other cards are pretty bad or low impact. Fortuitous Find can be really good, but I saw a lot of them early in the draft that I'm expecting to table some, and I don't want a lot of them. This pack doesn't have any cards that really excite me, so I'm just going to take this Club Security that's a fine filler creature if I need one. Again, kind of the best card. I'm not super excited about Windrake. I do like Thriving Turtle. The best cards I'm seeing that are not in my colors are definitely blue. So I should stay open to moving into blue or splashing blue while still trying not to, because I think I have a very good start for red-black. Here I'm just going to take Rush of Vitality, noting that Sky Swirl Harrier and Riparian Tiger are both pretty good, but I like almost every combat trick in this format, especially the more aggressive you are, the better they are. It's really important to be able to get through larger blockers, and most of them do that pretty well. Rush of Vitality is particularly good on the Operative that trades with anything and then stays alive. Here, the pick is between Consulate Skygate, which I've generally been pretty impressed by if I'm trying to build a control deck. The reach is really important on it. Specifically, stopping Sky Swirl is a big deal. But I do want to have a Fortuitous Find. It's really good with artifact creatures, and since I'm looking to have artifact creatures in red-black, I think that it's a pretty good late-game card. Speaking of trying to have artifact creatures in red-black, I'm going to take Eager Construct here. It's another card that I don't love in other archetypes, but I actually like it a lot in red-black specifically, where it is an early aggressive creature that built to smash gives trample, and as an artifact it enables your black creatures that want you to have an artifact, and it comes down early and isn't bad, unlike a lot of the 2-mana artifacts that you could play just to have an artifact. I'm going to take Consulate Skygate from my sideboard. I'm happy to pick one of those up since I took the find before, and I was right that I was just going to get plenty of finds. Appetite's going to be pretty good against me. Oh, this is League. Whatever. Appetite's a better card. It's nice to have it in my sideboard. Reasonably happy with this start. It gets a lot better if I see more self-assemblers. This pack is not great for me. Arborback Stomper is quite a bit better than the other cards. Revoke Privileges is good too, I guess. I'm looking... I think this guy's kind of underrated, but I don't want to take it this early. Bastion Mastodon is better than Self-Assembler if I don't find more Self-Assemblers. so it would be reasonable to look to pick some up as backup large creatures, but given how mediocre everything is here, I'm going to consider speculating on this Metalwork Colossus. Since it doesn't count artifact creatures, it's pretty hard to get down to a reasonable cost, but things could break that way. Doesn't look likely. It basically wants you to play large vehicles. I'm just going to take this Mastodon. It's a weak pack. That gives me some insurance. Here, I'm going to take Midnight Oil. Weaponcraft Enthusiast and Dund Operative are slightly safer picks, but I think their air is pretty good. When I'm red-black with a bunch of removal, I'm not going to have too many cards in my hand, so that's not going to be a problem. And I'm going to be able to play a long game because I have large creatures and removal, so the fact that it's not immediately threatening my opponent is fine. I think this is a really good archetype for this card, and I think it's a very powerful card in long games that I'm looking to play. This is between Weaponcraft Enthusiast and Weldfast Monitor. I only like Thriving Rats if you're doing a lot with the energy. So Weaponcraft Enthusiast and Weldfast Monitor are both 3-mana plays that let you get artifacts into play. That's their primary function in red-black. And often 2/1/1s and an 0/1 doesn't do a lot. Like, those things all together don't really matter much if you're not taking advantage of going wide in some way. And that's the only way that you can get an artifact creature out of this. So I'm actually going to take the Weldfast Monitor that I think is better at giving me an artifact early that plays well with an aggressive plan. It's also better with cards like Fortuitous Find. Here, Operative, Screecher, and Prophetic Prism are all quite good for what I'm doing. I think I'm going to go with Operative rather than Screecher. I know some people prefer the Screecher because it's fundamentally a more aggressive card in that it's better at ending a game because it has evasion, but I like Operative's ability. I feel like Operative is a less vulnerable, more consistent card. It can trade with anything, it fits well in the curve, and I think that it plays better with cards like Fortuitous Find and Midnight Oil that are trying to play more of a long game with a low curve rather than a strictly aggressive plan. So I'm taking the Operative here. I'm really happy to just have a lot of Operatives in this deck, so I'm just going to take another one out of this pack. There aren't a lot of other options for my deck. Nature's Way is a great card, but I'm not going to move into green here. Although, it's worth noting that I only have Pia, Unlicensed Disintegration, and Weldfast Monitor for red cards, so I could easily become another color, and green would be a good one to do since it would let me splash the red fairly easily, and I could use this Appetite for the unnatural. Actually, maybe I should plan to be green and take Nature's Way. Nature's Way is really good, but I think Operative is good enough that I don't need to move here, and I'd rather not yet. Okay. Given that I was seeing a bunch of blue in pack 1, and that Saheeli's Artistry is here, and that Saheeli's Artistry is absurd, and what I was noticing about red being cut, I'm just going to take Saheeli's Artistry. If I were attached to being red-black, I could take Spark of Creativity, which is a really inconsistent card, but sometimes lets you make 2 plays. Like, when it hits and it lets you kill a creature and make 2 plays in a turn, it can be a really big tempo swing, but it's not a reliable removal spell. It's a really difficult card to evaluate, but Saheeli's Artistry is just a flat-out bomb. So I think blue is open in this draft, and becoming a blue player in this spot makes a lot of sense, and I can potentially try to splash the red or just switch into blue, which should be open in the next pack. So I feel pretty good about the artistry here. This pick, I think, is between the Scavenger and the Stomper. There were a bunch of Scavengers early. I think I'm going to table that kind of thing. Stomper is difficult to evaluate, but really good against people who are trying to block. So I think it's at worst a really good thing to have access to in my sideboard, if nothing else. I'm going to take Underhanded Designs. It's a good removal spell, and giving my stuff, my artifacts functionally extort is very good. There are obviously a lot of pretty good blue cards in the pack that I wouldn't be unhappy to continue moving toward blue with, but I'm definitely going to play this card, and it's definitely going to be great in my deck. Here I get a Scavenger for free. I could take Diabolic Tutor, but it's not a card I like in general. Tutoring for artistry is interesting, but I really don't like spending 4 mana to not impact the board. Wow, this operative tabled black is very open. Yeah, I think black was so open that I didn't even really notice that I was getting cut on red, which is fine. I have no energy stuff going on. I'm just going to take another security, though I hope to not play it. I'm going to take this Innovator because I have enough securities. I don't like the Innovator either, but I don't think I'm going to want to play 3 securities. Alright, so I'm black, looking to be black-blue, looking to splash red, looking for more artifacts since I have all these operatives. Prophetic Prism would be really nice. The black Spell Knot would be good. Oh, this is a Marionette Master. Marionette Master is a fantastically powerful card. I should definitely take it. Also totally bonkers with Shihili's artistry for what it's worth. This is between Iron League Steed to give myself more artifacts and Contraband Kingpin. I'm going to take the Steed. I'm pretty sure that I am blue-black, and Kingpin's a good card, but I already have so many 2-drops that I don't need another one, even if it's a very little bit better than them. And the Iron League Steed is just going to make my other artifacts better. I could also take the Serpent, actually. But Serpent's really good. But I think the thing that I was saying, I think I need more artifacts, and I need to prioritize the playable ones. And this, I think, will play reasonably well in my deck and turns on all these operatives at a good time to do it, and also can turn on Underhanded Designs by itself if I need to. I don't love it, but I think I'm supposed to just take another Goggles here. It's better if you have actual Artificers, which I don't really, but it turns on, I mean, it's a cheap artifact, and I'm just really in the market for cheap artifacts. Plus, the next best card is Tezzeret's Ambition, which is good, but not something that I think I need in my Midnight Oil deck. I'd really like this Pummeler to be what I want, since it's an aggressive artifact creature, and I really don't have 3 mana plays if I'm not playing red. But since I don't have any other energy creation, I just don't think or pump, it's just not going to be very impressive. I'm just going to take the Serpent here. Serpent's a really powerful card. This is an interesting pack. Live Fast and Die Young are good. I'm going to take the Subtle Strike. I think it's going to play well with all my 2-drops. I don't think I need another 2-drop that needs me to have an artifact. And I think Subtle Strike is a better removal spell than Die Young when I'm not making any other energy. And I don't think Live Fast is a good card draw spell when I'm not using the energy. And I think it's late to move into doing energy as a thing. So Subtle Strike it is. I'm going to take Artwork Colony. My deck's pretty aggressive. This is a good aggressive card. I really do have too many 2-drops. But it seems so good. I think it's enough better than Bastion Mastodon and Armada Express that I should take it. Fateful Showdown's great, but I've moved off of red. I say, and then see a build to smash that I'd really like, but I'm just going to take the Accomplished Automaton. Since I haven't gotten self-assemblers, I want some other powerful late game, and I think this card is a lot better than people assume it is. Especially when I'm trading all my early stuff and playing Fortuitous Find, it's a really good way to just clean up at the end of the game, draw something high impact after all these cheap 1-for-1s. Right now I'm kind of most worried about flyers for what it's worth. This is between Wayward Giant and Takedown. I could have a second Takedown and just board into black splashing takedowns if I'm really worried about flyers. Or I could have the Wayward Giant to be just black-red if I want to give up on Sheely's Artistry to be able to play Pia and Unlicensed Disintegration and have a better curve. Gonna go with the Giant. I don't need more of these things. I'm gonna take Torch Gauntlet in case I want more early artifacts. I mentioned that blue is open in pack 1, but I haven't really been seeing it this pack. Contraband Kingpin and Gearseeker Servant both came back. I have so many 2s, I'm just going to take another Serpent. This is a weird draft. Given that I ended up with all these operatives, I really wish I'd taken the flyer over one of them. I guess I want a 3-drop. Though I'm not sure that I'll play it. This deck might actually just want Consulate Skygate as an artifact, turn on my artifact stuff. None of these cards matter at all. I was essentially grabbing one at random. That's on plan. I think this is worse than Operative, but I might want to board it in if my opponent isn't punishing me for playing a 1-toughness creature. Alright, so this is an interesting build. I want to play a lot of artifacts. So I'm pretty sure I want to play the Skygate. My blue cards are super powerful, but my red cards give me a curve. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 artifacts if I play the Weldfast Monitor, 9 if I count Pia. think I want to start by playing the red and not the blue, just because I didn't get any other mid-game type stuff, and I'm kind of worried about that. I think red-black has just a more consistent plan. I like making these 3-mana functional artifacts better or playable to turn on my 2s that need artifacts. I guess that's a move away from Skygate. Skygate's so off plan, but it's another artifact, but I guess I'll have to try to get by. I shouldn't play one self-assembler. I think I have I can play this Bastion Mastodon instead. Glad I took that thing. Oh, and Wayward Giant. Definitely want some more big stuff. I do like this Scavenger here. It returns Marionette Master and my other high-impact creatures. I think I am going to play this PFL just to have an artifact creature. I think 2/4 artifact creature for 4 is better than 4/4 artifact creature for 5 in this deck. I think I'm going to cut Demolition Stomper. Definitely open to citing it in, though. And then my other cuts are probably Lawless Broker and Fortuitous Find. I think I can do enough grinding with Midnight Oil and the Scavenger to not need the Find. This deck's a little weird, but I think I'll be alright as long as I draw an artifact to be able to trade her early and then get to this powerful late game stuff. I really wish I had more removal, but I'm hoping that because all my operatives don't really get bricked, that my opponent just needs to trade with them, and then it doesn't really matter that I don't have removal because creatures are just trading anyway, and then I can go over the top with my big stuff, and then if that turns out to not be enough to finish a game, I can board into the blue top end. So I have a bit of a game plan. Oh, I wonder if I should be playing Torch Gauntlet. That's a stable artifact that turns on my things and really forces my opponent to trade. Might be better than the Security as a 4-mana play. I can just play it and equip it on 4. Makes my P-Foul a lot better. It's good to put on Pia's Thopter. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Alright, so I definitely want more than 3 mountains, but I don't need a lot of mountains. But I don't think I need more than 10 swamps. Alright, this looks good.